Good evening and welcome to this program brought to you by Government Communication and Information System. It is the 5th season of the Let's Talk Justice, Living Your Rights radio program in partnership with the Community Radio in South Africa. And thanks to the Department of Justice and Correctional Services. I was given a good lecture by the minister last week to say we are not constitutional development, we are justice and correctional services. Yes. Nakalibitso came Soto Stone, and we are together up until 5 minutes past 7. Right now it's 6 minutes after 6 o'clock. Welcome to it. It's a Thursday. As we know, every week we are discussing issues of importance where we live your rights, we make you understand what are your rights within the Constitution of South Africa. Tonight we are having Kekana, mapping Kekana to many of those who are 2000, 1990. Mapping Kekana to you to ask Mani Pinky, the others mapping Kekana. She is the Deputy Minister for Communications, Department of Communications in South Africa, and we are also joined by Wilderson. And she is the head of the Victim Support and Specialized Services within the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. And we are talking tonight about gender-based violence as well as femicide. Gender-based violence as well as femicide. And the aim is to discuss the possible effect of the media reports on victims of gender-based violence and everyone involved, and also to educate around the responsibility of the media in reporting cases of gender-based violence. We get to know more also about what is femicide and what are its implications and what are some of the signs that could lead towards femicide. And also we share information on what to do when your rights as a victim of gender-based violence are violated, either by the media or by the people who need to help you, the police, the NPA officials, and all the people who are involved. Also to highlight various efforts by government to combat the scourge of gender-based violence as well as femicide. Otherwise, you are also welcome to call us on 0800 142 446. 0800 142 446. It is a toll-free number if you are using your Telkom landline. However, because we all have smartphones, take your smartphones, call in. Nontlantla will be over there to accept your calls and even call you back. We definitely would like to have your comment or your questions based on the experiences that you might be having. Like I said, my name is Musoto Stone, and let me just introduce and welcome my guest, DM. Thank you so very much and welcome once more.
Thank you, Musoto. And thank you to the listeners. Good evening. I'm joined by Mayor Kamohelo Likubu Wilderson, and we want to really share a lot. And we're saying to our people, let's talk justice.
All right. Oscar Kamohelo, you've already been welcomed so much now that the DM is Mnigazwendao.
Amen.
Thank you. All right, let's get into this. Maybe if we start with you, Oscar Mkhelo, so that we get to clearly define these terms, gender-based violence and femicide, because others might look at it like two sides of the same coin, and others might actually have a clear idea, femicide and gender-based violence. But for the sake of starting this topic, let's just go through the two and actually put the difference or the similarity if there's any.
Yes, gender-based violence is basically a generic name for all the offenses that are committed against persons because of their gender.
That's right.
Therefore, femicide is one of the forms of offenses that are committed as a gender-based violence form. However, there's no offense that is called femicide.
All right.
It is a coinage of a particular behavior in different forms of gender-based violence that is actually predominantly occurring against women because they are women or because they are seen as vulnerable. And often the most popular form of femicide is intimate femicide. But there are other forms of femicides that I think it is better for us to understand that femicide is the killing of women because they are particular disposition in society. I'll take an example of intimate femicide.
All right.
Normally, because of your position as a woman, you experience domestic violence, but that violence, domestic violence, escalate to a point where you are killed. Now, often we either commodify also women. So we've got femicides that are committed for specific reasons of using female body parts in order to make muti. So that's another form of femicide, because this is committed purely because you are a woman and you've got a particular physiological look that is lucrative in the muti making industry. So it's a coinage that we utilize to actually encompass the various forms of offenses. Those offenses are normal offenses. They end up in murder of a woman because of their particular disposition in society.
All right.
Mostly it's because of their social and their physiological use.
All right. We continue to fight against gender-based violence, and we commend media for their role in exposing some of these cases. What comes to mind, DM, is the hashtag Dross rape. That's one of the latest one that happened in Pretoria a week ago, where one of the guys got to rape some 6-year-old. Go Dross, when her and her mother were having some dinner over there, and somebody was actually in public nohal like that. Somebody just identifies somebody, follows them to the toilet, and wrong things happen. Now, what happens is that there were quite a lot of videos that were posted and all those things. Now, what's your take, DM? I'm just going to take your opinion on it to say, so far there's been quite a lot of talk in terms of these cases coming through and media actually reporting them in a certain way, and the court actually giving tumello, an approval, a go-ahead of saying you media can cover these things, while it also compromises the dignity of the victims, it compromises the identity of the perpetrator, and according to the law, basically, some of those things we might be mind-boggled about them. But what's your opinion on that one?
Look, the topic we are dealing with today, it's very important. And I think the issue of gender-based violence should be a cause for concern for all of us. We want our own country to be safe, and we want women and children to walk and be safe in whatever area where they find themselves. But coming closer to the Dross incident, of course, it's a very, very painful situation for the little one. But also, there are also unintended consequences that came with that whole thing. Because while we have the freedom of expression and media freedom, we also have to know that our freedoms are also have limitations. One of the things that's very critical is that there were people who were able to take the videos, if you look at how this whole thing happened.
Yes.
And on the hindsight, and we, God forbids, we just hope nobody picked up the actual incident when the child was raped. Because once somebody has captured that and start to post it, it's a very, very serious offense.
It's a violation.
It's a violation of the rights of that child. But also, we also have what we call Film and Publications Board in the department that deals with possession and distribution of some of these kind of events or activities. If you are found with those kind of things and you are also found distributing, remember, and this is what our public must know, we go right up to the source. The person who was able to capture and even distribute that. But what does it say? If and this is the call we want to make to everybody, including those who were there in that incident. Please let it be like you have never captured that incident for the child, because the protection of that child is very critical.
Definitely.
Even including distributing the photo of the mother of the child, because once they start to do that, if you start to distribute my photo to say it's Pinky's child, people will eventually know who that child is. So that kind of distribution will be very dangerous and very unfortunate. And we're saying, let's protect the rights of that child, because that thing will never be erased in her mind. And once you start to distribute, now you are compounding the situation. So it's a criminal offense, and our people must know that.
That includes retweeting. It means sharing. What the TM is talking about retweeting. Just by pressing that retweet button
and sending it further to other people,
thank you,
you are guilty as charged.
All right. I hope we got it quite very well. 0800 142 446, 0800 142 446. We are basically looking into gender-based violence as well as femicide. And we have Oscar Mogelo Likubu Wilderson. She's heading the victim and support and specialized services with the Department of Justice and Correctional Services. And then we have Pinky Kekana, who's the Deputy Minister of Communications. And we're looking at the influence, basically, also that the media has on these things. Oscar Mogelo, they have their hands full, isn't it, Oscar Mogelo? Let's talk about quite a number of cases that you are currently dealing with, going towards the 25th of November, which is the 16 days of activism going further.
Currently, we're looking at various interventions. You know, one of the key interventions that we're really dying to have is to be able to prevent gender-based violence in South Africa. Now, the question that we're raising is, to what extent can we use the media to help us stem the tide? And now what the DM has been talking about is sensationalization of an event, a very unfortunate event.
Yes.
And it is true, the identity of children must be protected. Children have no way of protecting themselves because of their innocence. It is therefore important for us as the media or as the public, including the media, to be very cautious in actually trying to deliver the messages. It's important for us to be aware. The media, at one point, the social media is raising awareness of the dangers that are lurking within our communities. But at the same time, it's the manner in which you distribute that or you communicate the incidents. It has to show that you are basically sensitive. Your intention must come out of the way you distribute your media. If you distribute the identity of the alleged perpetrator in the media, ask yourself, to what extent is it going to interfere with the child's ability to say, I know the perpetrator or I don't know the perpetrator? So you are basically posing a potential legal challenge because you don't know to what extent is this child able to be protected from seeing what is happening, whether be it on TV, whether be it on Twitter. Our children have access to cell phones and they do get this information. And in court, when it is absolutely important for victims of gender-based violence to triumph in court. God forbid if this guy goes off on a technicality that the child could not really say, I know or I don't know, you know. And part of what we try to do within the criminal justice system to help mitigate is to have what we call court preparation program. And I guess, and I believe that that child will receive that, in which we will basically be able to tell her that you are expected to say what is within your knowledge. And it is within your right. You are allowed to say, I cannot point out the perpetrator myself, because to me, white people or white men look the same. You see? But if you're going to condition the child to say that I know the perpetrator and that perpetrator is the one who did the act on me, when in fact she is not clear, that along the trial might pose loopholes where now she will begin to contradict herself to say, no, actually, I don't know him. I saw him on social media and I assume it's him. So the reporting of these incidents is very critical. And I'm happy that with the print media, we haven't seen a reproduction of what we've seen in the social media. And I must say that our print media has come a long way. They've actually played a critical role in reporting cases of gender-based violence. We can argue about nuances of whether they have gone further enough to actually help us prevent, because if they are reporting the cases just to draw numbers of people who buy a particular newspaper, it's not helping the country. But if they deliver a message through that particular news clip to say that this form of violence, if we can take an example of Karabo's case, if it's saying to the public, we cannot stand this, they are allowed to make opinions to say that this is unacceptable, and to let us know how the criminal justice system has dealt with the case. Right. So we really need to partner with the media, but the media needs to be sensitized to the fact that your depiction of the case should not jeopardize either the case itself or even further victimize the victim of that particular offense.
All right. Thank you so very much. Let's get to the callers. We have Usbonelo from Ndwedwe. Sbonelo?
Sawubona bhuti wami njani baba?
Siyaphila kunjani bhuti?
Hayi ngwena mama lapho kulumnandi usolweni ufuna sibonelo soba la Ndwedwe kwaSokomo koFlevel.
Siyakwamukela kodwa ucingo lwakho ngathi vele i-network ayikho kahle man. Mawungama somewhere where there's clear network so that sikhona ukuzwa kahle.
Ngiyanezwa mina baba.
Thina asikuzwa kahle.
Namanje ungizwa baba.
Okay, alright ke. Ungaqhubeka bhuti.
Ngithi mina udaba usolweni lumnandi kakhulu. Baba bami lapho manje igama liselelile manje amadoda ngathi angenwe sizala abantu besifazane nengane zethu kunzima ukufuduka negama ndiyaliza ngoba femicide manje ukuthi ithina kakhulu ezikhangele ukubayena abantu besifazane manje ke ufuna ukwazi bona bhuti wami lapho ukuthi
I think you're going to have to speak to Sibonele and try to get him to be a bit clearer because we're not actually hearing him quite very well. Let's move on to Patko from Aliwal North. Man, malame Patko man.
Dumela waphila.
Kiyaphila mrena ujwa.
Nam ndiyaphila.
Mrena ka 5 seconds away from you. So hey, sometimes we get that feedback and it's not that very nice on our ears, eh?
Okay, tsara phela anyane phela mzuzinyana.
Ndati. We're talking gender-based violence as well as femicide tonight, and particularly the role of media, the role that the media plays, either for the good or for the bad, because at the end of the day, what I would say, Mren, Ndati, wamuhezu.
Yadumedisa bomme ka mono ngiyathanda ukuthi isixhosa ke mme balbaledi ka mono
Dumela, Patco.
ke mme Pinky Kekana le mme Kamogelo.
le mme Kamogelo ke a kgolwa gore ba ngutlwile fela ke tsa madume thapa menyaka
Sure.
ke tla batla gore no e se like go is alman da ba gele later no ga se ba play no
Baie dankie.
Pleasure LTJs welcome. Ke na le mathata ka mona nna ne.
Ndati.
A re kale ka ya domestic violence. Ya gender violence. Ke na le mathata nna. O a tsamaya o ya police station. Motho o a otluwa ka mona. Ke 9 bosigo kapa ke 10 bosigo. Ha o fitla police station gate e kwetse. O tlo weletsa ka mane kapa ke mme o a lelekisa o a otluwa. O fitla gate kwetsa ha o weletsa and then a ona motho a mo thusang. O tswa mo o ya wena nna ke lephatlo ke fitla ke re ai bo ke tlo thusa mme ba re to le proof ge e bone ntho no e etsa itsena ke tla nka ka proof o fumana gore that person ba ile ba mo hetile fela a bohloko o ma tsitse ka mele no ke le proof here get the photo tsena ke ntho re tobane le yona yeno ke a pele yena.
Yes.
Hape ke na le mabapi le bana gona le ngwana mo Alwan North ngwana yena o dula ke ka diena ke be jwalo ke le ka bua le Josephine ka mromela mlaetsa I think ka sheno useng a re ke mlele tokomane ka ofela ngwana yena lebitso la ke le tshiwe fane a itse motsamai mme a hai o ile a sokala a qeta o sokala mme a mtsile ndata hai o tlile ntse le lefia mana bo mme wa hai a o sheba go gore ka re ke ya hai ya cheldi ya sasa a ifumane ho hang bana ba mme yena ba fumana ntho kaofela a ile yena a kopang wa o thuwa o thuwa ka bo past 2 useng 3 useng o wa ka hospital botho ha tsamaya o reka jwala ba bang bana ba robetse o lo tlamile o tsamaile no o ile campung ya sekolo ayaya ba mme yena ba ile sekolong hape ntho e bohlokwa o fona gore ngwanena ana nix a ona mo a kukanting a ile o fuwe dintho ke batho di angwa di a tshetswa a qeta o di tshesa mme yena ke le ka bua le mme Mantlomelo a sebetsa o CFC mona Maltswai a ya ka mane mme yana re ngwana a mo wa yang a qeta abe a kopana le social workers a re ngwana o tsa fumana cell phone o tsa fumana di-puzzle ntho kaofela o fumana grant ya hae a tshwaretse mane o matshonisa karete ya hae o matshonisa ba mphile 300 rand hape a registered sekolong no a ke equal to registration school o tlamehile o ya high school a registered ngwanane so le kopa thuso ke le ka leka o founela advocate family advocate ka PE a itsa le ntele illa ka fumana assistant unto assistant ke PA ya me Josephine ne a ba re no ke khotela gane ka khotela o fumana go tele late ka mo fumana le kopa fela o thuso fela ngwane na tsimo o thusa halo bane o ga sa batla o dula mane o na le mme e mongwe itse o tla mo kuka o tla metsa ntho kaofela a ba se shelter ya grant o tla ithekela ntho tse a di batlang yena o tla mo kuka je ka ngwana hae a mbe ka tlung a o pela kgwedi o kuka tšhelete ya ngwanena o mo isa toropong o reka ntho a di batlang ha ona nix a e batlang fela yena empa o fitela ka jeno mme ya no itse o tla rekela ngwana cell phone le diphahlo o mfile fela 300 rand that is why ke re le ke kopa fela hle le social development a dlale a vital role bane the social worker they are too slow to attend the case tshwana le
before drop
ntate
privately ba mo fe a fe batho ba rona di number so that re follow up with this thing. We'll take it personally and make sure that Ndata Patco
mama
ke kopa ska dropa tshwara fela jwalo ba tlo bua le wena ka machine ka mo machine ka ko morago and then o re fe di details tsa hao re ba tlo follow up ntwena ya ngwana ko motsamai ne.
Okay, Mama.
All right, and thanks already. I understand he has already called one of Oscar Michalos' colleagues, Josephine Peta, who deals quite directly with these things. And although she's more on your taking care of kids who are affected by divorce and all that stuff, but the DM is going to take it up as well. Patco, we'll thank you so very much for that, Ndati. Before you respond to that DM, let's take Kuli from Uppington in Riverside. Kuli?
Good evening.
Good evening, Kuli.
Hi, good evening to you and your guest, the Deputy Minister there.
All right.
Of course, the advocate. Well, I have two questions. here with me, Mrs. When it comes to, femicide, what came to mind to me right now is the LGBTI community, which is a group of people who are also very largely affected by this for expressing themselves. Men are saying that you are a woman, we are going to show you, and all that. What does the law say about this? And are communities educated enough when it comes to the LGBTI community? And also, what does the law say when it comes to such? And then also my second question would be, Ms. Suchi, many women go through gender-based violence whilst they are in relationships and in their marriages, but they stay. You understand? Would you say that it is because they do not know how to go about that? If it is the case, what are there any programs or plans by the department to reach out to such women and make them understand that the law is actually on their side? Because most women die actually like that because they stay and think things will get better and probably don't understand that the law is on their side. That's about it for me.
All right. Thank you so very much, Kuli, for all those questions. I'm not sure who would like to start. DM,
Okay. Let me take Patco's concern.
Okay.
This matter needs to be dealt with by the Department of Social Development on the one hand. And I understood that he said that the matter was also reported, and the Family Child Protection Unit, FCS unit, is an investigative unit within SAPS whose sole responsibility is to look at child protection matters. That matter must be taken on by the police station, local police station, and the particular FCS officer needs to take the case to its conclusion. Now, the violation that is happening is in multifarious forms. There's child abuse, and through Domestic Violence Act, we can issue a protection order. But that does not go far enough. If there's abuse in forms of physical abuse and child neglect, in terms of Children's Child Care Act, there's a lot of violations that are happening, and the Department of Social Development needs to treat this child together with SAPS. This child will be treated as a child in need of care and support, and the case must be processed as such. Now, the child can be placed, taken, removed from the abusive situation and temporarily be placed within a place of safety, or place of safety is provided by government whilst they are processing all the requirements to actually place a permanently with another family. So definitely DM is right by saying that we need to take the case and make sure that it's attended to. So Patco, we will respond to you very quickly.
But also the right to education of that child. Because we also said primary and secondary education is compulsory. Now, if these people deny this child the right to education, it's also another
that's why I'm
violation.
Saying, that's why I'm saying that there's a host of violations. If we look at the Child Care Act, definitely this lady needs to be brought to book. And the question from Abington Kuli said that what does the law say about violations against LGBTI community? We need to understand that everybody has rights in South Africa in terms of our constitution. The LGBTI community, they have the right to protection, to safety and security of their bodies. And in terms of the Bill of Rights, no one must be discriminated or treated badly or negatively solely based on their sexual orientation. Now, we are here to protect the rights of LGBTI communities. Using the very same laws, if there's a violation of assault, murder, or any other form of offense, the law will take its course. However, we understand that the needs of the community of LGBTI, as a community that has particular problems of violation of their rights because of their sexual orientation or their look or their transformed gender, we need to make sure that the police, when they deal with the case, they are sensitive to the fact that this violation happened precisely because the person is an LGBTI. And they need to be sensitive to the needs. The social workers need to deal with the rights of the LGBTI person with the sensitivity that is required.
Yes.
The Department of Justice also needs to do that. So we do have a forum which is led by our Deputy Minister. It's the National Task Team on LGBTI. And they have a host of activities that are aimed at making sure that the criminal justice system responds positively or properly with the sensitivity that is required to these cases. We don't have specific laws that deal with their particular cases, but we are attuned to their particular needs, and we insist that officials that deal with them, they deal with the cases in a sensitive manner. Because if you're not sensitive, we are likely to lose the particular complainant in the criminal justice system. The second question that he has identified is that how does government assist the women who are in marriages to leave abusive relationships? I can say that definitely there are programs within the Department of Social Development that can assist the woman to move away from their abusive situation, to be housed elsewhere temporarily whilst they seek a protection order. It is very important for people to enforce their rights through the Domestic Violence Act. And if there is a manner of infraction by the officials from not wanting to assist, we have a host of systems that we can use. Within the SABS, we have a complaints nodal point. And in addition, we have the IPD that actually assists if you refuse to attend to a domestic violence case, you can complain there. We also have the Civilian Secretariat that is responsible for picking up cases where there is denial or refusal to assist victims. So there are various options that you can follow to ensure that your rights are protected. Outside of the shelters, there's also white doors and red doors where within communities that are identified or families that have partnered with Department of Social Development to take in people who are in need of support.
Hang on, you talked about red doors, white doors.
Yes, within the Department of Justice, within the Department of Social Development, they will provide shelters. There are shelters. NGOs as well provide shelters. And Department of Social Development funds NGOs that provide to those shelters. But because it's not in all communities that we have these shelters, there's extra measures that they've put in place. They have red doors and white doors. It's a program through which families partner with Department of Social Development. They are trained, they are supported to take in victims of domestic violence or victims of sexual offenses who need shelter for a particular period of time until a longer solution is found. So those are the social development projects that are there. We still realize that women are living in paternalistic society, unfortunately. They're economically dependent on their partners, and Also, socially, if you're married, to be divorced is a problem.
Taboo.
It's a taboo. So we realize those hindrances or
Stereotypes.
barriers that
Return soldier
actually,
kind of.
yes, they actually help keep women within these marriages. What we are looking at as the government is to look at ensuring that women are economically independent. You know, gender-based violence, especially within the home, is actually perpetrated by economic inequalities. And government needs to break these economic inequalities. We must partner with private sector to ensure that they take appropriate measures to protect women. I'm going to give you an example, DM. Within the area where I stay, we have a big supermarket, a spa. That spa closes at 8. Now, continuously, there's this type of employment pattern. At a particular point in time, you see Zimbabwean women being employed. And then the labor department will come in and, you know, ensure that the people who work there have proper papers. And then for 2 weeks, it will be South African women. But what I went to find out with the one of the supervisors, why are we having this interchange between Zimbabwean women and South African women? She said most South African women would not like to work in late night shifts because they have to go to Soshanguve, Mabopane and Mamelodi. 8 o'clock is a bit too late for them to catch transport. Now it's for us, government, to ensure that women can work and have equal access to opportunities to work. And how do we do that? The Department of Transport needs to develop laws that says that these particular establishments must make means to ensure that there's transportation for women. They are protected. They have a role to prevent gender-based violence. And their security must be basically legislated.
Right.
I think just coming to a few comments that our callers made.
Yes.
One is that from what Kuli was saying on issues of LGBTQIs and whether our communities are educated on issues of sexual orientation and other things, I think we need to do more work in advocacy, in educating our people to really understand the right to choices by every individual in as far as sexual orientation is concerned. So partnerships, dialogues, and all other things will be important. But the other thing that the call I want to make to Kuli and all of us is that if there are gaps in the legislation framework, let's start to talk and say, we think here and there on issues of sexual offenses, the act is limited, or the act does not is not able to protect these areas. And I think as legislators we'll be able to look into that. But coming to the issues of women staying in relationship while they're abused, I think I agree fully with what Kamogelo was saying, that there may be challenges of economic inequalities and all other things, but also we should also go back and say, while we have our acts in protecting women on issues of domestic violence and other things are concerned, are the court proceedings enough and protecting our women to an extent that they can be able to express themselves and show how this sexual offense was done? And this is where the Department of Justice comes in to say, let us work towards improving our courts, especially where we deal with issues of sexual offenses, so that we don't have secondary victimization, where our people then feel they are being they suffered the trauma of being raped. Now this person must be in this box, explain herself why she was there or why this person raped her, while the perpetrator is sitting elsewhere nicely and not being interrogated. So women are being interrogated, or children get interrogated many times. And this is why people end up not even reporting these things, because they just feel that it's another trauma they're going to go through.
Going through a long story.
Yeah, and that's why we have this thing of victim attrition, where people end up no longer wanting to go. They will go to court for the first time, for the second time, and the next thing they don't go. And you know what I personally feel? And I think this is one of the things that we must start to look at. Reverse owner's approach. Now, in reverse owner's approach, that's where we're saying, if I'm raped, it shouldn't be me who go to court and explain, yes, Musoto did 1, 2, 3 on me. Musoto must be himself going to court to say, yes, indeed, I met Pinky on that day. Yes, indeed, I did this or I did not do that. So it must be you saying to the magistrate, you know me, you saw me, you did this, you did not. So go and explain yourself, rather than me as a victim standing there and being interrogated while I was suffering the trauma of you raping me.
Very ideal. But I see Oscar Morelo is laughing at it, and she's imagining the difficulty.
I want that to come
She's imagining the difficulty that comes with that. And I agree with the TM from a personal point of view. But anyway, before we get to that one, Oscar Morelo, they've been waiting for quite some time now. Thabo, let's happen. Thabo from Zebediela. Thobela Morenaka. How are you feeling? Ka botšiša leng?
o mo botse o le reng ke seporo ka o tshikagela tsene awa di tsa sepela botse re tlo re lo tsheka mo se re lo tshele deputy minister
Thobela Thabo
Kekana Thobela wa ga tsole ka itso
awa kwa giwa tlo
awa not call ina mile na taba ya kwa re ya bolela ifela ona le batho ba ile gore ba tlhakanne ditaba tsa mokuta ke re ge ga le gender based violence ra gore ga tshwanelo ke o ka taba ya tshorisho o sa le mo go tsona ke tshepa gore ke batho ba ba relevant ba le gore a ka ba khwetsa ba tla ba bolela ka ditaba tsa bona pele ga ge tlo ba di femicide a ke re ke ka morago go shiti go tlhagele dipolao tse uwe ka morago ke tshepa gore ntle re ka ithibela pele re ka tlisha batho ba le gore ba fitile ditabeng ba tla ba tsebo gore go a bolediwa ntong e ke bia mo batho ba bomme ke gore ba tsoga ba arabishana le ba wele khale mo le reng basadi ba tlhompha banna a se gore ke itabele gore bona ke batho ba buang ba tlhomphe ka motho a re ke tla o dia ntso a motshepe re ka se kwetse dingwe ka gore ge motho a ka re wa mo arabisha ke mo le gore motho ona mo mo mojetse ntwe e wrong re sa re gore go mojetse ntwe e wrong o mo be ga tshitse a ntšha le kwata ga mo wena go bola le ka mohuta o e fela ga ba ka thuta go ikokobetsa batho ba bo bomme a tsebe gore a nagana gore ke na le bana ba ka re nka arabisha motho ina mile o ka tla go tlhaga se sa ba gender violence ya ba shetse ba femicide moraga mowe ke le gore nka jala ke tsebe gore batho ba bomme mohlomongwe ba ka e lebeledisa ka leitlho le lengwe mohlomongwe e ka afola taba tse jang tša dipolao re tlhana bolela ka dipalopalo tša dipolao e santse thomo mo go bona ba le batho re shanga ke gore ba right e fela re nyaka gore basadi ba thomba boele mo la sa le go tla go hlompha ina mile ba ka se di poledišano wa arabisha ra wa ba bolaya batho ba bolaya ntšhantšhane ke re ba bolaya bana ba o dira se ba gagolo tša mohuta uwe ra le dira ke mo tshebitiela mengwageng ya go feta ina mile a re tsebe ke ke le gore nka jale di ka ba da fetša di tlhagišetša batho ba bomme mathata re fela re bolela ka dipalopalo re lapise bolela ka dipalopalo re nyaka go fetša ntho e sa thoma ka tša tlhorišo
mara Thabo Arekwane nna le wena. Tlhompho e a iska ba ya ka ke le tsi go wena. Le wena ntlhompe. A re ratane nna le wena. Re be re tlhomphane. It must be two-way. And why wena ape gantši ge monna re ke tla o betha. Ebe lo re motlhomongwe mogekolo wa botsisa a o pape boy. Nankane mamotla le satla le mogolo ra yo re ka seshebeng. Wa bona re pape boy na pile wa thoma o ntšha difaka. Bjale a wata a re kwane aga bjale a be two-way wena o tlhomphe mosadi ya gago o mo rate le yena o tla dira fela bjao nna re sa le mo matšatšing a la gore mosadi o nyatsa monna goba monna o nyatsa mosadi ra tseba gore basadi ka moka ba rata bagatša ba bona gomme le bagatša le bona a ba rate basadi ba bona because rena tše dintši ra di dia bane le bana ra ba belega le go tlhatswa ra tlhatswetsa papepoe le go apea ra apea papepoe a wo batho
re a ikwešiša dia motho ka mokgwa ke le botsang ke ra re ke letlhako a ke ke letlhako re la gore basadi ba wrong goba motho a dileng lo ke go right
o boletše tlou
Abutabo, I think nakongwe as society re ba at a loss of what are the possible options, but a re gopole gore gana re mo ereng ya constitutional era ena go na le ntwe ba ibitsang equality ena a re bua ka equality ha re gore batho ba ske ba tlhomphana. We are saying it's a two-way thing. If I am doing anything that is not violating your right, you have no right to actually violate my right. If me is just trying to say my point of view in this topic that we're having is ABC, let her be heard. She is a human being like you as a man. And they have every faculty that you have as a man. And therefore, you cannot socially say now, in order to solve problem of gender-based violence, ask our because gender-based violence, unfortunately, whether or the perpetrators, they do it. So your issue ya gore ba re basadi ba tshegela morao or ba tshetsele morao. It doesn't work in domestic violence. Those people have to change their behavior. The men, the perpetrators, whether it's a man or a woman, because it happens always. You have to change your behavior. You have to be able to talk to your partner in a manner that you are not coercive, you are persuasive. And you need to discuss issues and convince your partner of your point of view. Until you have facts and whatever to convince her, there is no right. If you violate her, we are going to come for you through the law.
I'm now, sure you can hear with a hand banging on the table.
No, law enforcement agencies, we are struggling. We are forcing men. We are saying that this is unacceptable, irrespective of reasons. And then, the innovative approach to owners. I mean, we are challenged.
Yeah. Before we get there, because Tsepo has been waiting for quite some time now. Tsepo, sorry, thank you very much, Tabo. And I was gonna say, basically, what DM and Oscar Mkholo are saying, Zulu, but aliko ilungelo lokudelela.
Yeah.
Aliko. There's no right yokudelela. Next. Delela what? Tsepo. Abuti.
Dialo tsara.
Dialo tso morenaka re di ragile re ka utlwa lona.
Ntate re tlhotse.
Bontle bo so bo phepa.
Ntate. Bomme dumelang ka mo.
Dumela Tsepo.
Bomma ke le bogata thata gore ntse ke mametse Ntshalo na makile ba thata bana ka tshedimosetso.
Re tshwere ka mo bogaleng wa bona.
Ke bona gore bo Messi se le sere bo bogaleng.
Nna ke itidimaletse Tshepo.
No re tsena di.
Ka jeno ana ga ke bui sepe se se ntsi ke didimetse.
Go le gala go gutse ke mametse go bomme tota ba sere ka bo bogaleng.
Thank you.
E ke le bogala se ke utlileng ba se etsa thata.
Thank you.
And then ga tle ntse mo ka itumelang tsa gore le ntele a go gore part khoile mme mo go yetlang re ka ba ritse gore ka tsela feedback gore
most definitely.
I'll come back to you personally on radio ka mogona ka mogo Stone o tlo organizer re tlo bolelane re tla be re na le ntate motsamai.
Most definitely.
Ba ritse bona ba khone go itse go ya rona ya thusa
Sure.
Le khone go thusa go filela morae.
That's right.
Ke le botsa ntle mo ke re Stone le bona ke bonne go tle ba ga ba dingwe ke batla go di botsa ebile go tlile se ba fitile mo go tsone. Mare e nngwe ke batla go di botsa ke ganya pele ha re bua ka gender based violence a ke ka re bua re shebisitse mo go bo nefela ka pana violence mo le mo bontate ka pana re shebile la violence e diragala mo go bonne ka pana bo bontate ntse re bua re shebile le mo go yone.
Okay.
And then potso ya ka engwe ke ena go tlile bomme ga ba bua ka ntho ile ya ba bana dira se ka ntho ile go tlo se diragetseng kwale. And then ba bua taba ya gore mo ntleng e diragetseng ene motho o nna tsaya di tshwantso tseo ga nka ba ile a etsa ka selo molao no tlo gonna yang teng mo no tlo gamalang ka ba a tsetse video ya teng go simolola go yana mo ntleng ya go sona le onena ka gonne ha re sheba mo di social media resto le me DM ka mo le me dikubu ntse go tla re shebe molao o la ka mo ga rona mana a rena molao o laolang di social media maybe di print media gona go di laola because gona go di toba street reno e ke current e itseng e buile so gona go toba street intenso but when it comes to social media ga di account le gore tse dingwe ke ha sa nnete ke di tsa maka ke di bitsa kae le motho mo i-create l'account ena o fa tsa se
and are the journalists rotlhe mo social media ke
ke one bothata bo re se di direng le tiro mo lo mo gona go tsega se etsa ene di dinga o lebella motho o ibitsa ka motho mo ga o lebella house a o itse motho ke mo o itseng tho so puso go latella dilo tsa tshwanetse le tsego motho o feletseng a phitile ntho tsena mo nthong yo ga ena tsela ka pana mo le gona go laola dilo tsena gore fa fetsa go ba le di account tsa maka tse di tsenang teng mo social media tsa di parody go di bitsa di teng mo social media gore go avoid gore go feletse go etsa retsi dilo tse di diragalang tsena mo ntsong.
Morana Tshepo, thank you so very much. Ga baneng ke gotle go o na le rona le gone for rona today.
That is the only kile bo thata bonne kile bo gile thata e soreng bo bogaleng fela jalo. Ke la FM mo Matlotsana 100.6.
Morenaka.
Thank
you. Let me take the last caller and then I'm going to give you all the chance to respond and comment regarding the Mark from Pietermaritzburg. Sawon.
Sawona msakazi njani?
Siyaphila njani ba?
Ngiyaphila mina ngilalela kumgungundo 107.6 FM the sound of choice of KZN capital.
Siyakwamukela ba.
Hey, naze nayithinta indaba ebaluleke kakhulu. Hey, bakithi uyazi ukuthi manje sakhuluma nge-gender violence. Abantu yenzeke eThekwini insukwini lo baba lo bade ene step daughter yathi fike endlini wayidlwengula wayibulala wadlwengula esibili wayibulala wadlwengula ngisho umuntu azwana naye wambulala. Uyabona uhulumeni ngithi laba bantu abenza lezi zinto ezikanje ukuthi behlukumeza abantu besifazane bebadlwengula no abangayithola ibail futhi angabanika ama lawyers amahala ngoba ummeli uzokumelana enkantolo into umuntu ebeyenzile ngithi mina abathole nje life sentence ungamhlukumeza kanjani umuntu omthandayo nathi ingane ade ngikhuluma ngayo ingane ena 6 years eyahlukumeza ngokocansi mina yazi isilwana uqobo lathi sona esingcono isilwana sihlumeza ingane yaso yini singabukeli kuyona indlela uqobo layo bafethu kubhlungu okwenzwa yithina singamadoda thina singamadoda ngabe siyawuvikela indoda isivikela umndeni indoda ethanda umndeni nayo iyawuvikela uthande ngithi uhulumeni akathonisa isigwebo kulabantu laba benza lezi zinto zokuhlukumeza silalelane uma sithandana silalelane uma kukhona into wrong esingayiboni ngale sihlale phansi sibonisane isithando sami ku wrong la uxolise uma igama lithi ngiyaxolisa libaluleke kakhulu amadoda kunzima ukuthi alikhiphe asebenzisa amandla ngoba lesifazane ingena amandla uhulumeni akakhipha isigwebo esiqinile angabalingisha abameli futhi ngisho nasenkantolo ngoba bahlala kamnandi lapha emajele abantu njengathi uphila ukuthi mhlawumbe labantu ngabashonsana. Ngiyabonga msakazi into kakhulu le show yini. Uqhubeke nje ne government station ngilalele bomgungundlo 107.6 FM. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you so very much to all our callers and thank you so very much. But also before that, I was coming. Sorry, just a little bit. DM, I'm also, when you comment, I would like you to also talk to the regulation in terms of the timing of the content on our TVs, on our radios. As I make an example, Yogoti, during a drive time, you hear a song, and you see videos on Trace, on all these things. They got all these different depiction of women in a derogatory way. And you find that it's only after school. Our kids are watching Trace and all that stuff. I want you to speak to that when you, because I'm looking at the time. But let me start with you, Oscar Mukhelo, so that we give each other some time. 5 minutes past, we need to be off because the radio stations need to continue with other programming. But let's just get into all those questions.
Yes, Tsepo raised an issue as to whether gender-based violence only happens against women. Tsepo, gender-based violence, the word gender means the social relations between men and women in society. So laws are protecting both men and women. And we know that boy children also experience gender-based violence. We know that there is particular forms of violence committed against lesbians because they are lesbians. So they are covered in the generic term of gender-based violence. And I think the DM will talk more to cyber crimes. Sipo was asking, or Tepo was asking whether Renali a law that controls social media.
Yes.
There's no specific law that controls social media.
That's right.
South Africa would like to have as much freedom for the media as possible, but there are particular laws that can be infringed through the use of social media.
That's right.
And cybercrime legislation is one of them. But your normal legislation, Criminal Procedure Act, helps provide spaces for dealing with other forms of violations through social media. Mark also indicated, but Mark's actually comment was a cry for help to say that we really do need men to change attitudes in society. We're all facing particular forms of challenges. And whether it's an ego that you need to protect, or it's your frustration or your inability to manage your anger, as human beings in South Africa, we all have the responsibility to transform our behavior, to align it with what is required in law and with what is required in society. And we must say that, I just want to say that the Criminal Procedure Act has minimum sentences, and I believe that the prosecution will look at that particular case from a perspective of making sure that the minimum sentence applies to these murders.
That's right.
We live in a constitutional era that protects rights of people. You are innocent until you're proven guilty, even if we all know. What I could say, ke pleader with communities, hore ba bereke mmogo le mapodisa. When there is an investigation and you can be a witness to a particular crime, please let us come together and support our local police and provide police le bopaki bobo batlegang. You know, it can be circumstantial evidence. You might not have been there when it happened, but you might have been in the vicinity of the crime. You might have seen something connected to the crime.
Yes.
It's important to come forward and report or support the case. That is extremely important. It's an important element of the law of proving that a crime happened beyond reasonable doubt.
Thank you.
Now it comes to what the DM has said. The law says the state must prove beyond reasonable doubt that the perpetrator committed an offense.
Yes.
But this is an innovation that I would say that when we have our National Summit on Gender-Based Violence, I would like to have people present that jurisprudence on how we can actually successfully overturn the approach in respect to forms of offenses or crimes like gender-based violence.
Yes, yes.
I mean, South Africa has been lauded to be a country that comes with lots of innovations. And I believe that jurisprudence changes all the time with enough sound reasoning and presentation of how these reverse owners would work.
It's not enough. It's not enough to be hearing. Yeah, it's not enough to be hearing somebody.
But I mean, this is the sentiment that the DM presents, because we are totally frustrated with the fact that the victim supports the state. But when you look at this, it's the victim supporting the state to prove beyond reasonable doubt.
Thank you, Skamkhar. And it's not enough basically to be saying, are you guilty or not guilty? And say, not guilty. And that's the only thing that the perpetrator have ever said in court up until he gets sentenced. I think I agree with the DM on that one. DM, your last words
just
and
a quick
response?
One. I think one of the things that our people must know is that we, as government, we have an act that protects the content that must go into our kids online, on TV. We have that through film and publications board. There's an act that really governs us. But what we have done, and learning from other lessons, a case in point, and you have just said about the song Omunye Peskwe Munye. There's a film called Ineba. There are also many soapies that are happening. And people are saying, is this classification enough? Because there's serious violence that our kids are viewing during prime time.
Yes.
So what we have done, look, film and publications deal with classifying the kind of content you want to consume, whether on TV, in the form of soapies and all other things.
Yes.
You'll see on your TV it's written the age rating plus whether violence, language, nudity, or sex, or whatever. So it's up to you as a consumer to choose whether you want to view these things and so on. But it also says we want to plead to our parents to say, please make sure that things or content which is above our kids, don't allow them to consume it, because it will be detriment to their their growth and including some of these things. But you know, one of the things and the call we want to make is that our men, and we really applaud most of the men who are coming out and saying, not in our name.
Yes.
We are joining you. We are happy, and continue to give us those voices. But not only voices, act and show that you are committed to non-violence, to our women, to our children. And those are the things we want. We want to see a safer South Africa. We want to see a South Africa where men, women, and children live together, irrespective of what time, where, and whatever. People should be able to go anywhere, anytime. Today, restaurants are not safe. Institutions of higher learning are not safe. Schools are also not safe. And this is where we thought those are the safest areas. So let's join hands. The church is there. CRC, is it CRL? CRL.
Yes,
CRL is there. The traditional leaders are there, and many other institutions. Let's join hands and make sure that we really condemn some of these things, but also prevent them from happening. And this is what I like from Auskamohelo. Let's prevent some of these things before they happen.
Also, the pedophilic issue that is not being talked about from the religious point of things, because it will be saying, no, it will be solved in church. The law has nothing to do with issues inside the church. And that in itself has prevented gender-based violence against children.
Our Baruti are very vigilant these days.
These days, I really want to put it out there to say, let's not undermine the value of religious spiritual balance by hearing minyenyeti that always come through about this, and people ended up undermining churches because of such kind of issues.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We thank the listeners, and I plead with our communities that let's join hands towards eliminating and eradicating gender-based violence and making South Africa a safe South Africa.
All right. Thank you so very much. In the presence of Deputy Minister of Communications, Kekana, as well as Auskamohelo Likubu Wilderson. Thank you so very much. And I believe we have I believe and we have learned so much. Let's continue this next week on Thursday between 6 and 7 o'clock. From me, Musoto Stone, good night.